Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Amos chapter 8, verses 11 to 13. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, though food shortages, famines of food and water and stuff like that are coming as well, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, the famine of the word, where the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi, preached by the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, and the Spirit at this point is clearly dealing with GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS. The men of the Lord are no longer going to be on the highways and byways preaching this word, and these video epistles are no longer going to be online. Verse 12, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh, and shall not find it. In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. And unless, you're one of the elect that comes in at the last second, once this famine of the word hits, you won't be able to find this word anywhere. And hey, as it said, the fair virgins and young men shall faint for thirst. You Israelites, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who took this time of grace and liberty to freely receive this word, you treated this period as a joke. You scoffed at the men of the Lord, did the most. Hey, at that time, you're going to have to get it how you live. You're not going to be able to find the word, and all the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi are going to be the only things to meet you. And as it says in 2nd Esdras chapter 9, they shall know it after death by pain. And I opened up the video with these verses to preface an article on naturalnews.com titled New House Resolution Labels Any Criticism of Israel's Government as there's that word, anti-simulation. And hey, this is just another step towards the famine of the word coming. Esau is being made bare at all levels in society, beginning with the men of the Lord, as well as these other people, that are exposing Esau, Edom, the so-called white man's dirty dealings, especially those Amalekite Edomites over in the Holy Land, posing as the people of the Most High. So now, they're continuing to come with these resolutions and stuff like that to limit so-called hate speech online for safety, when really it's to stifle dissent, to stop the truth from coming out, and, ultimately stopping the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi through the prophets from coming out, because that is where the 100% truth of everything is coming from. Who people are biblically, what the times of prophecy are, and, exposing Esau, Edom's dirty dealings, that he is the devil and Satan that the Bible speaks of, as well as the wicked. I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 25, verse 7. And he will destroy in this mountain. And in the scriptures, mountains can be symbolic for governments. So, destroying in the mountains or the governments of these different countries. What? The face of the covering cast over all the people. These lies and deceits that Esau, Edom has used to manipulate, history and the true story, and to get people to follow his narrative for these 500 or so years that he's been in rulership, beginning with the Renaissance, and the veil that is spread over all the nations. And again, it's been chiefly through the prophets, out on the highways and byways preaching this word, and especially using the unicorn or this internet to spread this message from one end of the earth and to the other, exposing Esau, Edom, and bringing about the end of his rulership, as it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And the elites of these Edomites, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, you name it, and a lot of the elites are Amalekites. Hey, they understand the scriptures and know that when Israel wakes up, calls back on their power, and especially when the prophets are out on the highways and byways preaching, whatever kingdom that's ruling at that time is going to come to an end. They also understand that they're the biblical Edomites and what their fate is after they're taken out of power for the last time. 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery before they're permanently culled from this planet with fire. So as it says in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, this devil is about to come down in great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, demonizing the word and calling it hate speech and coming out with these bills and resolutions to scrub it from the internet. And, that persecution, labeling the men of the Lord as domestic teas, black identity extremists, all that, so they can take us off the highways and byways, round us up and throw us into these different detention centers and prisons. Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, for the devil shall cast some of you into prison that ye may be tried. So with all that being said, to you sincere Akim and Akwat out there, while this time of liberty and, grace and freely receiving the word is still open, drink from these rivers of living waters while you still can, because this spigot is about to get turned off, and all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding you gain during this time is going to be your stability during Jacob's trouble. But let's get back to this article. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution that condemns anti-simulation at home and abroad. Hey, from the four corners of the earth, from one end of the earth to the other. Hey, and, places that are definitely out of the U.S.'s so-called jurisdiction. And you just happen to have brothers, chiefly in GMS, in camps all across the planet, from Canada to the United States, Central and South America, Europe, Japan, the Philippines, Africa, etc., etc. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution that condemns anti-simulation at home and abroad, despite controversial language that equates Zionism with anti-simulation, which many believe will be interpreted to mean that any type of criticism against the policies of the 1948 government will be considered anti-simulation. And hey, this truth would be considered the ultimate form of anti-simulation. Why? Because we show through the scriptures, through biblical prophecy, that you Amalekite Edomites don't fit any of the prophecies or characteristics dealing with the true children of Israel, and that you actually fit prophecy dealing with the Edomites in taking the identity of the Israelites and taking the Holy Land. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5, Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession. Hey, laying the groundwork with the Balfour Declaration, and then later with United Nations, charters and treaties to further cement that territory into your hands. And what else? Job 9, verse 24, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked, and they covereth up the faces of the judges thereof. And in First Maccabees, hey, they opened the book of the law and sought to paint the likeness of their images to show yourselves as the children of Israel. In addition to condemning the October 7th massacre that resulted in 1,200 Israeli deaths, the resolution condemns chants that are popular with peaceful protesters, such as From the River to the Sea. It also lists several recent incidents involving attacks on jays in the U.S. House Resolution 894 passed in a vote of 311 to 14. A further 92 representatives voted present following efforts by some J Democrats to convince members of their caucus to go with a present vote to protest the line of the bill that specifies that anti-Zionism is anti-simulationism. Let me see what else. That's pretty much it with this article. You get the point. But as you can see, a resolution passed that condemns, pretty much all forms of anti-simulationism. And again, that's a main target towards the men of the Lord, because we are exposing you Amalekite Edomites and you Edomites as a whole through the scriptures. So now you're coming down in great wrath and scrambling to condemn this word and take it off the internet and take the men of the Lord off the highways and byways by making a man an offender for a word. This is Isaiah chapter 29. I'm going to start at verse 18. And in that day, which we're living in these days and times right now, the last seconds of the last days, before the end of this current age of the heathen nations, chiefly the Edomites, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel, in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The spiritual eyes and ears of the elect of the nation of Israel being opened, that covering cast, that veil being removed, and then waking up to their true identity. Hey, waking up to prophecy and waking up to who their enemies are, you heathens, chiefly you Edomites. Verse 19, the meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel, because we see that this current system isn't the end-all, be-all. There is an end to it, and then our eternal kingdom of righteousness, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Yasharallah will be established, and ultimately that we're the Lord's chosen. Verse 20, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. Esau, Edom being taken out of power, and that begins with what? Us taking him out of power spiritually by prophesying these words, ushering in the next part, Yahushai coming, and Yahushai is the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, him making his second coming and physically taking Esau out of power. Hey, remember, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Verse 21, that make a man an offender for a word. Oh, that's so-called hate speech that incites violence. You're domestic tea. You're a black identity extremist. And lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, passing these bills and resolutions, all that shit, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. But, actually, before I get that precept, I'm going to go to my next bit of information. And it's from Redacted's YouTube channel, and it's titled, She's Exposing the WEF, False FLAG, coming in 2024, journalist Whitney Webb. And I would highly recommend Akim and Akwath, watch this whole video. I'm just going to be hitting a few points here and there, but it is highly edifying. It gives you an insight into what the elites have planned in bringing about their agendas, that NW0, that great RESET, that fourth industrial revolution, which includes, censorship, demonization, and a control on information. But I'm going to start the video off, let it go for about the first 2 minutes or so, and jump around a bit to get to the main points I want to hit. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily.
Cyber attack.
It is simply for educational purposes.
Before the year 2025, which will lead to a massive collapse of the banking industry, infrastructure, and so much more. How do they know this?
And that movie that just came out on Netflix, Leave the World Behind, I believe the inciting incident for all that was what? A cyber attack. And you've been seeing a lot of different events like that take place in the US and across the world lately. And we're constantly hearing warning over warning about an EMP or a cyber attack taking place, which would be the perfect, black swan and cover to fast track their new system. The banking system collapses, the infrastructure collapses. So we have to, reset everything. You know, we're going to bring in a digital currency on this new system we've got set up. And you've got to have a digital ID to show that you didn't have anything to do with this attack. You're not a
Unbelievable. Someone who's been
non-state
following
actor
this
or a
very, very
T.
closely, and it
And,
ties even more directly into
you
the
need to know
story
you're a
that
loyal
we've been covering
citizen.
here on the
And
show
then
about
to
the
access
CCI
the
leak
internet,
files.
you're going to
The
have to have that
Schellenberger
digital ID.
released files about the cyber spying on Americans. We're going to get to that part of the story with independent journalist Whitney Webb, who I'm thrilled to welcome back to the show. Whitney, welcome back to Redacted.
Hey, it's great to be here after a long absence. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, we wouldn't miss the opportunity. So thrilled to have you back here. So let's talk about this World Economic Forum idea that at the second in command at the World Economic Forum. Of course, we wouldn't miss the opportunity. So thrilled to have you back here. So let's talk about this World Economic Forum idea that at the second in command at the World Economic Forum.
And I don't know if I said it
We are
or
going
not
to see
already,
a
but
massive
this is a
cyber
fair
attack
use copyright
hitting before the
disclaimer.
year
I do not own
2025.
any of the footage in this
Pointing
clip,
out,
nor do I stand to gain
great
from it
detail, like, this is
monetarily.
going to
It
happen,
is
so
simply
you
for
better be
educational
prepared for it.
purposes.
Why are they saying this, and who are they going to try to point the finger at?
Right. So this was said at the WEF annual meeting earlier this year in January by the WEF managing director, Jeremy Jurgens. And Jurgens, as well as the WEF itself, has been involved in a series of simulations for several years now that I'm sure a lot of people in your audience are familiar with, called Cyber Polygon, which has been directly affiliated with Russia's government, as well as some of Russia's biggest banks and some of the biggest commercial banks in the world. Called Cyber Polygon, which has been directly affiliated with Russia's government, as well as some of Russia's biggest banks and some of the biggest commercial banks in the world.
At the toppest
And
level,
also backed by
these
a lot
different
of
heads of
U.S.
state
federal
rub
agencies,
shoulders
which
with
is
the
ironic
elites
when you
and are on
consider,
board
all the
with
about
this
alleged Russian
NW0,
hacks
this
over the
great
years. They're very willing, under the guise
RESET.
of the WEF, to collaborate with the supposed hackers responsible for everything bad, for several years ago. So that's quite revealing. But aside from Cyber Polygon, there's a lot that the WEF seeks to accomplish as it relates to the cyber realm, and they've been collaborating. So that's quite revealing. But aside from Cyber Polygon, there's a lot during the Obama administration. Want with the banking system that they cannot really
And now I'm going to jump to
justify
about the
implementing
5
unless
minute
there
mark.
is some sort of large cyber attack. So what does the WEF Partnership Against Cybercrime want? They're very open that they want a regulated internet, and they're essentially seeking a policy that was efforts were made to implement during the Obama administration in the U.S. They called it a driver's license for the internet. So essentially, what this public-private partnership that the WEF is pushing for is for every person's access to the internet to be tied to a digital ID or a government-issued ID, but presumably a public-private partnership that the WEF is pushing for is for every person's access to the internet to be tied to a digital ID or a government-issued ID, but presumably
Your access to the internet tied to a digital ID, and we know what that ultimate form of that's going to be. That's CHIPIMPLANT, the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18. And then just recently, you had I believe it was a bill passed in the U.S. dealing with the FCC, or the Federal Communications Division, pretty much taking complete control of the internet, and ISPs, or internet service providers, and deals with who they can issue accounts to,
digital
the
ID, just because of where government issued ID
perks and the benefits
programs
in
are
those
all
accounts and stuff
going
like that. So
essentially
pretty
around
much
the world.
deciding who will be
And
able
the goal
to
of that,
and
of
who won't be
course, if
able to
your
access the
ID
internet.
is linked to your internet access, intelligence agencies know exactly what media you are consuming in terms of what you read and also what you post online. And that has been the goal for a very, very long time. So people aren't necessarily going to consent to that unless they are made to believe that anonymity and privacy online are dangerous. So, how exactly can you convince people that that needs to happen? Well, you have some sort of event where anonymous hackers do something online that causes major disruption globally, and then the consent can be manufactured through fear and panic, as is often done.
Order ab chaos, order out of chaos, Hegelian dialectics. They create, they control both sides of the board. They want to bring in, a new system that restricts access to the internet, and you need digital IDs to access the internet or banking accounts. So what? We'll create events and actors to, bring about a EMP or a cybersecurity attack or a teist attack. And then we'll say, look at what happened. We didn't have regulation or, regulation of certain parts of society, or, we don't know who these people are on the internet posting this information or anything like that. We need to take away anonymity and let everybody be known who's on the internet. So in order to prevent these attacks, we can see what kind of information people are looking at and, what kind of purchases they're making. Because, look, we also got to get we got to give them digital IDs to link to their bank accounts so we can know their purchases, so we can stop them before they pull off another
bringing
event,
it together under
which
one
could
umbrella.
cripple
And of course,
society.
we even heard Nikki Haley, who's a certainly
now,
the
jump
neocons
to
absolutely love Nikki
about
Haley
the
right now, pushing her
8
big
minute
time.
and
She, over the
25
past
second
couple of
mark.
weeks, has called for this lack of anonymity on the web, wants everyone to be registered as you're using the internet, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and so have people, media personalities like Jordan Peterson, for example, has pushed for this same end of anonymity online. And you also have people like Elon Musk, who bought Twitter. Why he was buying Twitter, saying that we have to verify all humans and essentially, allegedly to control the bot issue on
I
Twitter.
thought
But
Elon
there's this
Musk was the
broad
people's
push,
hero. Give me a
essentially
break.
everywhere you look, from the power elite to end online anonymity. And people are obviously resisting that because it changes the nature of the internet and supercharges the surveillance capabilities already built into it to a hugely significant degree. And it's a bigger problem when you consider that the Department of Justice specifically has a pre-crime program that they've been operating since the Trump administration called DEEP, where people have literally been arrested for things they've posted on social media. Someone was even killed, I think, a few months ago for Facebook posts he made about Joe Biden, and then was
That
swatted
make a
and
man
shot
an
in
offender
the street in
for
front
a
of his
word,
house for posts he
and the
made on
devil
social
shall
media.
cast some of you into
Tying all
prison
of
that
this
ye
to
may
your
be
government
tried.
ID, considering all of those factors as it relates to U.S. law enforcement and the Department of Justice, which again is partnered with all of these things, is an extremely awful idea. And the idea that, and the fact that you have all these financial services entities involved at the same time, there's this push for digital ID, not just for the internet, but to tie your digital ID to your banking through central bank digital currencies or heavily regulated stablecoins and deposit tokens. I mean, programmable money. I mean, the implications here are huge. And there's obviously a lot of resistance from certain quarters of
Hey, that's it with that clip. Hey, everything is perfectly falling into place. And I'm going to close it out in Jeremiah 49 verse 10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. First and foremost, through the men of the Lord, out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles, watching the news, and reading the scriptures and filtering the news through the scriptures to tell you exactly what's taking place. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. So what? with the gospel of the kingdom being preached to one end of the earth and to the other, bringing about the end of this system and revealing Esau, he's about to come down in great wrath to stifle dissent, to keep the truth from going out. But by doing that, hey, you're playing into prophecy. What was it say? We can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth, roughly paraphrasing. So you've already lost Esau, but, you know, again, to you sincere Akim and Akwat out there, hey, we're coming into the fame of the word, so spend this time of liberty getting as much knowledge and wisdom and understanding as you can, so you can have it to get you through Jacob's trouble. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwat.